little kids really who just want to be taken out for ice cream and a hug. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Oh hi, if you're new, my name is Emma, complet grad, almost film grad, and I am back on my bullshit with this is only half of what is technically one book haul. There will be two of these videos because I have this thing called the extra gene. Alright, I already explained this in this video, but I'm doing some volunteering at the moment. It's reading with young kids with charities bookmark. They're amazing, I absolutely love them. But the problem is, primary school is here. My bus stop is here. Do you know what is here? I'll tell you what is there. A super nice bookshop. So in the space of about 2 weeks, I think I went in there like 6 times, to the point where the girl who works there started to recognise me. She was like, oh, you were in here the other day? And I was like, oh no, I wasn't here the other day. Here we go, here's another book haul. I have a problem. How often do you know that I put myself on no buys and then I'm like, but I need this though, but I need this though, but I need this though. The main thing to understand is that book buying and book reading are two completely different things. They are two totally different activities, okay? Like, a lot of what I buy, and you'll see this, is like this mental thing where I'm like, oh, I don't have that in my library. It's a hole in my library. I need to fill that in my collection to have the most complete collection that I can. Please, one of you, agree with me. Where did my cup of tea go? As ever, I'm not going to go through this in any order because I don't know what kind of cohesive order you put these in anyway. Right, where do we start? This is such a weird pile. But like, you'll see these and you'll be like, to be honest, only I could end up with a pile like this. Let's start with this. This is Philippa Perry's The Book You Wish Your Parents Had Read, brackets, and your children will be glad that you did. So, I, at the end of last year, read Natasha Lunn's book Conversations on Love, and Philippa Perry is somebody who is featured in that. I really enjoyed what she had to say, sort of her mentality on, yeah, children, and then like the adult children of parents. Because there'll be a point where you're no longer a child, but you're still somebody's child, and that dynamic is such like an interesting, yeah, and there's definitely a sense of healing generational trauma here. So, what does this have to say? How can we have better relationships? In the Sunday Times bestseller, leading psychotherapist Philippa Perry reveals the vital do's and don'ts of a relationship. This is a book for all of us. Whether you are interested in understanding how your upbringing has shaped you, looking to handle your child's feelings, or wishing to support your partner, you will find indispensable information and realistic tips in these pages. Philippa Perry's sane, sage, and judgmental-free advice is an essential resource on how to have the best possible relationships with the people who matter most to you. To you most. And I just kind of think that's a really sweet sentiment. I think that was the thing that I liked a lot about her in Natasha Lunn's book, is Natasha Lunn invited lots of different kinds of people to talk on love, and people who are trained and qualified, psychiatrists, psychotherapists, therapists. I thought that was just a really interesting thing that Natasha Lunn did, and this is one of the people. So yes, a real life psychotherapist. Ooh. Part 1, your parenting legacy. Part 2, your child's environment. Part 3, feelings. Part 4, laying a foundation. Part 5, conditions for good mental health. Part 6, behaviour or behaviourist communication, blah, blah, blah. I think for me at this point, because I'm 24, I have been in therapy for three whole years? 3 years? Yeah, I've been in therapy for bang on 3 years now, and there's something so important about going back through like your own childhood and understanding things and picking things apart. I've had to do that a lot recently, especially in the context of being diagnosed with ADHD finally at 24, which happened last summer for me. So there's a lot of like reconstituting my entire childhood based on this like new piece of information and like how I view myself. So there's a lot of a sense of like revisiting your childhood, reevaluating and understanding things. And I kind of think to do this in your 20s, especially in your mid-20s, I think is probably a good idea, because I feel like I'm understanding this past in preparation for giving someone else this as a future. Does that make sense? Stress testing, do I want kids? Do I even like kids? Why do I think I'd be good at, you know, parenting and everything, especially like motherhood particularly? And this kind of just like feeds into my desire to understand and evaluate that, because yeah, understand my own childhood and stuff, understand that like my parents are a bit better, because we could always, understanding that our parents are individual human beings instead of just mummy and daddy. Like, our parents have interests and personalities. I'm at this point where I'm not in a relationship. Kids are so hypothetical to me as an idea that I feel like a lot of this work is maybe good if I do it now, because then there's no, because then there's no actual people I can project and reflect that onto. So for me, this is an interesting one to read at this part of my life, because I'm so far from my own childhood, but then also still quite far from, giving another human being their childhood. Hopefully, maybe, potentially. Sorry, I've just received a text message going, I have just had the most romantic night ever. At least one of us is babe. If she does not give me the voice note, I like, the voice note podcast you get from your friends when they're like, this thing happened, and I'm like, yes, good for you. I want that, send me, she better be recording the podcast. Anyway, reconciling your childhood with the idea of maybe giving someone else a possible childhood. And, understanding people and parents, and we're all little kids really who just want to be taken out for ice cream and a hug. Like, why do you stop doing that with adults? Take them out for ice cream and give them a hug. Okay, completely different thing now. I got Margaret Atwood's The Penelopiad. I would have sworn in my life that I owned this. There's another book here that I will swear down that I owned it. Turns out I did not in fact own it. But yeah, I was convinced that I had this. I was like looking in my bookshelf for it, being like, where the fuck is that? I didn't actually own it. I didn't actually own it. So this is again in this vein of like feminist retelling of classics, which I think is such a fun and interesting genre. I could write an whole essay on it. I think it's fascinating. But this is Margaret Atwood's, which is pretty famous. I've never read The Handmaid's Tale. I didn't even have it. Actually, and I have no interest in reading it. It really weirds me out, that one. Classics I can do. This is the Penelopiad. Penelope, immortalised in legend and myth as the devoted wife of the glorious Odysseus, silently weaving and unpicking, and weaving again as she waits for her husband's return. Now Penelope wanders the underworld, spinning a different kind of thread, her own side of the story. A tale of lust, greed, and murder. I'm excited for this. This kind of falls, I think for me, maybe into that like dark academia, like sort of thing, not in terms of necessarily like aesthetic genre, but as something that feels still part of that, as in like the characters from dark academia would read this. And I really hope this is a bit violent. I just want to see more women being completely unhinged and honestly just violent, and especially towards the men who have done horrible, unspeakable things to us. And this is fun as well because like I've read Circe, I loved it, absolutely loved it. Yes, it was heartbreaking. I really enjoyed Song of Achilles. I thought Circe was better. I think I said this in this video. I did think Circe was better. I am so curious about this. I don't really know anything about this other than what I know about Penelope as a figure of classics and ancient history. And if anybody was wondering, no, I don't know what my copy of the Odyssey is. I still haven't found it. We know it's driving me nuts, but that's yeah. If you liked Penelopiad, tell me. If there's any other good feminist like retellings, tell me. I just really hope that's dark. I just really hope that's dark. Maybe I just need my fix. I'm planning on booking a rage room for my birthday. Yeah, I'm doing really well. Thanks for asking. Right, another thing that I swore down, and again looked through my library that I swore I had, was Anna Karenina. I didn't own a copy. I didn't own this. I didn't own a copy of Anna Karenina. Like, I'm shocked. Like, that's all you need to know about why I bought this. I'm like, wait, did I not own that? Multiple times I've gone to look for this and I'm like, oh, we don't own that. Now I do own that. Basically, when I was a teenager, I read quite a lot of Russian literature. I read Chekhov, I read Pushkin, I read half of War and Peace. I've read half of War and Peace. One of my resolutions for this decade is to finish the whole thing. I just need to forget enough of it that I can reread it. And I read Dostoevsky even as a teenager. I read Notes from Underground, and I did in fact finish reading Crime and Punishment. So yeah, I'm quite big on like 19th and 18th century Russian literature, surprisingly enough. So finally, I have Anna Karenina. This is fucking 900 pages. This is floppy. Oh, she floopy. I fucking hate hardbacks. We know this. I fucking hate hardbacks. Anyway, I really like Tolstoy. Tolstoy even says that apparently he doesn't consider War and Peace to be his first novel because there is a lot of philosophical stuff in there. Let me tell you, I was 16 when I tried to read that. I don't know what I was thinking. But apparently Tolstoy considers this and Karenina his first novel. I have never seen the film with Karenina in it. I've never seen it, but I feel like this is one where I'd want to read this and then watch that, because, you know, if I've held out for this long. Blup. Anna Karenina is a novel of unparalleled richness and complexity. Set against the backdrop of Russian high society, Tolstoy charts the course of the doomed love affair between Anna, a beautiful married woman, and the Count Vronsky, a wealthy army officer who pursues her after becoming infatuated at a ball. Although she initially resists the charms, Anna eventually succumbs, falling passionately in love and setting in motion a chain of events that leads to her downfall. In this extraordinary novel, Tolstoy seamlessly weaves together the lives of dozens of characters while evoking a love strong enough to die for. Tolstoy does do that real fucking well. This interweaving of all of these characters and like still giving them their own like individual personalities and like feelings and stuff, and having still like all of the... I'm overexposed, but it's fine. You can just... I'm so bright now. I do like high society novels. I do like doomed love affairs. It's this whole thing that if you're in high society, the rules are so strict and so rigid that if you do anything to deviate from a trodden path, it's doom and disaster. The stakes are so high, it's so tense, and it's also just pretty, and it's lavish dresses, and it's sort of in like nice balls and stuff. If you don't want to read this, read Crime and Punishment. It's both sides of the coin. And also knowing a bit about Russia at the time and about history, it's important to understand that this kind of society, there is a reason it does not last. Kind of class disparity can only end badly. Honestly, read Crime and Punishment. Them together, that would be a good duo. You'd never finish reading it because it's so fucking long, but it's a good duo. How long is this? Oh my god, it's 900 pages! It's 963 pages. That is a lot of pages. She says, looking at her Akatar books, that she's read all of them. How long are these? I mean, I don't know why I'm complaining about this being like almost 1,000 pages long. Like, this book isn't 700 pages long. I read that so fucking quickly. I said I finished Crime and Punishment. That's 550 pages. And I'm currently reading Umberto Eco's Name of the Rose, which is 576 pages long. So if anybody wants to know why I'm not meeting my Goodreads targets, it's because the dyslexic is picking up 500-page books when she knows she takes 6 months to read them. Absolutely no regrets though. Crime and Punishment was really fucking good. So going back to a bit more Russian literature, I'm really excited to read this. Again, I can't believe that I never owned it, and part of me can't believe I've not read it, but then also it's 900 pages long, so I can believe I haven't read it, but you know. I'm excited for this. It belongs on my bookshelf. This is how I feel about that. It belongs on my bookshelf. Okay, I impulse bought Breton. André, Breton, Nadja. I bought it because it was cheap and the font was big. And I've heard people talk about Breton. I can't call him Breton. I can't do it. Breton. Like, I've heard people talk about him before, so I'm like, aha, yes, you're literature. I don't know anything about you, but I know that you're literature, and now I'm too dark. And it's got like little lips on the front, and it says c'est moi. I was like, ooh, okay, I'll buy this. Blending personal confession and enigma, reality and reverie, this hugely influential 1928 work from the father of surrealism is a meditation on, among other things, Nadja, a mysterious, unpredictable young woman with whom the narrator becomes obsessed after a chance encounter on the street, the petrifying conscience. Nadja weaves a mysterious and compelling tapestry of daily life as seen through a uniquely magical perspective, and one of the most unusual love stories in literature, the quintessential surrealist novel. See, this is one of those things where I can't remember if I like surrealism or not. Like, you go to university, you say a whole bunch of things, you love some stuff, you hate the others. I can't remember where this one falls. All I know is, there's pictures in it! So I was like, fuck yeah, I'll read that. I told my mum I bought this and she just rolled her eyes, so let's see. I don't know if I'll like this. All I know is the reaction I got from my mum was like, I hate Breton. I'm like, okay. It has pictures. And I don't know, I think the thing is, I have very specific things I like to read, and some things are very much more on the classical traditional vibe, as you all very much know, but I think because I am dyslexic and I have ADHD, I am so game for so many things because sometimes I just don't think my brain is actually attached anywhere to my skull. Wait, is your brain even attached to your skull? But you know what I mean? Like sometimes it just feels like my brain is freeballing inside my skull and is it doing that? What I mean is, you would be surprised what you can make me read if I haven't already read some of it. Like I'm game for most things unless I think it's fucking stupid. Time period wise, I am a fan of like 1920s to 1950s and 60s Paris. It's one of the places Mitford sets a lot of her books. It is a really, really fun, like specific point and place and time that I like reading stuff from. Giovanni's Room, for example. It's in an era and place that I'm a big fan of to read from, so let's just see what the surrealist take is. I've just forgotten, what the fuck is surrealism again? I've just completely fucking forgotten. What was the point of me doing a degree in literature? I swear down, like I can't remember any of it. I asked what the point of me doing a degree in literature was, as if I'm not literally sat around 1, 2, 3, 4 different piles of books. And again, this pile, I feel like it could only have been me. Who else online that talks about books? Just me. And we're too bright again, la 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 la. I should have filmed with my lights, but here we are. Okay, another one, thank you. Another one that my mum saw and was like, ooh, you what? You what? You bought that? Yes, I used my mother's Amazon account to buy, impulse buy books because she said I could. So I bought Chrétien de Troyes, or Chrétien de Troyes, Arthurian romances. Look, I have been single for too fucking long now. I want to read medieval romance. Can't be worse written than some of the shit I already read in the romance genre. So just we're going for a pan-historical take on romance. There's no way I can justify this. It was a Penguin classic and said the word romance in the title. That's pretty much why I bought it. Also because I think Arthurian legend is I find it really interesting because again, it's just like hugely oral tradition that it confused me so much as a child that there wasn't like one definitive and authoritative text on Arthurian legends. I've always loved it, you know, Arthur, Guinevere, Lancelot, I find it fascinating. So it's, I guess, this part of like growing up and understanding just like culture better, and especially the way that we tell stories, that you understand, yeah, that we have a huge history of oral tradition, and then what the West does is we move so much then to like written word, where other cultures still tell stories. We don't necessarily tell stories the way we used to. It's like deep ownership and copyright of stories nowadays, you know? Whereas like, that's what I find interesting about classics in a big way, is retellings. They belong culturally to the people, so it's something that it's completely fair game to take and retell and reconstitute and do from your own perspective and to weave in with something else. Like that is such an interesting, that I think is really, really interesting. And I will argue to an extent that I think originality is overrated. Nowadays we're so like hooked on it, like everything has to be completely original. I don't think that that is necessary. You can get so much good stuff from retellings, but you know, having a different take on a retelling rather than making, you know, the same 5 fucking Marvel films all over again, because that is fucking boring. So this is part of that. I just wanted to read a bit more about those legends because I love them anyway, and then also maybe seeing how much I remember from my childhood. And then yeah, just knowing that if this is a story I've never actually read, how do I know the whole thing? The same applies for me for the Odyssey. I've never read the Odyssey, but I know exactly what happens. That's just, I just find it really interesting. I just find it really interesting. Yeah, I'll argue originality is overrated, weirdly enough. Sometimes get stressed about scripts, being like, oh, I'm bad at writing, I'll never write anything good. And then it's fine. Stanley Kubrick never wrote an original screenplay in his entire life. He adapted fucking everything. You can make a career out of that. A good fucking career out of that. I'm down. So tell me the books you want me to adapt, I'm fucking down. I was explaining Chrétien de Troyes. Anyway, Chrétien de Troyes, it's so funny, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll read that. Read this. Lancelot bowed low and adored her, for in no holy relic did he place such faith. Oh my god. You know why women read romance? Men don't actually love you like this, that's fucking why. Loyalty, devotion from a man, that's cute. Taking the legends surrounding King Arthur and weaving in new psychological elements of personal desire and courtly behaviour. We know I love courtly behaviour. I just finished reading Madame de Lafayette, the Princess de Clèves. I love courtly behaviour. Chrétien de Troyes fashions a new form of medieval romance. The Knight at the Card is the first telling of the adulterous relationship between Lancelot and Arthur's queen Guinevere, and in The Knight with the Lion, Yvain neglects his bride in his quest for greater glory. Eric and Aeneid explore a knight's conflict between love and honour. Cliché exalts the possibility of pure love outside marriage, while The Haunting, the story of the Grail, chronicles the legendary quest. Rich in symbolism, these evocative tales combine closely observed detail with fantastic adventure to create a compelling world that profoundly influenced Malory and are the basis for the Arthurian legends we know today. So you're saying this is source material? Yeah, fucking love that. So very excited to read that. I'm gonna dash this one off. I told you I've been single too long and I've been reading romance books. You know that my guilty use of pleasures has been the Dirty Air series. Don't ask me why, it's just set within the world of F1. And I recently found Lando Norris and Nick DeVries on a dating app, so I'm just like, did they match with me? Of course they fucking did it. Was it funny? Yes, it was. Anyway, I bought the last book in Lauren Ash's series, Dirty Air. This is called Redeemed. I have no redeeming way of explaining to you why I'm reading these, other than the fact that I am alone. Anyway, Chloe. It all started with a birthday wish, some vodka and an ancestry kit, and that's how I ended up in Italy, finding my long-lost father. The melodrama in these books, they're horribly written, the plots are just poor, but the smut's alright, so the smut isn't even that good. Why do I read these? Basically, I read 3 and now I have to finish it. I just need the complete set, okay? I think that's more than anything what this is. And I get to turn my brain off for a while, which is nice. But one decision lands me with a fake boyfriend I didn't want. I do rate that trope. The more we pretended, the easier our ruse becomes. I told myself not to fall in love with a liar like Santiago. I should have listened. And in this book, basically, Santiago is just Carlos Lyons. And you know what, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. Santiago, one mistake destroys my career. I must go for the most eligible bachelor to monster, hiding from the world, at least until Chloe breaks into my home. What? My new fit girlfriend is a temporary fix to my biggest problem, but as our game changes, so do my feelings. But there's only one issue stopping me from claiming her, bro. Me. I'm not fucking sorry. Okay, this is one that I nicked from my mum's bookshelf when we were decluttering everything. I was like, can I have this? And she was like, you can have that. This is Peter Mayle's A Year in the Provence. This is the basis for one of my absolute favourite films, which is A Good Year. I'm fucking obsessed with this film. I adore it. It's been a big influence for my grad film, which is almost on. We just want to live in this bubble. It's nice, it's nice. Anyway. Peter Mayle and his wife did what most of us only imagined doing when they made their long-cherished dream of a life abroad a reality. Throwing caution to the wind, they bought a glorious 200-year-old farmhouse in the Luberon and began a new life. In a year that begins with a marathon lunch and continues with a host of gastronomic delights, they also survive the unexpected and often hilarious curiosities of rural life. From mastering their local accent and enduring invasion by bumbling builders, to discovering the finer points of rules and goat tracing, and all the earthly pleasures of Provençal life are conjured up in this enchanting portrait. Nice. Nice. Ooh, there are pictures. That's nice. I like pictures. Oh, it's just April, that's my birthday. This, I think, I will enjoy. I don't know if this was given to me or if I have this on a definite loan from my mummy, because that will make a big difference about whether I draw in this or not. And by draw I mean, right, my very important notes. I'm too dark now. And now I'm going to be too light. I cannot win. This is Emma. This is why you shut your curtains and film flights. Controlled environment. Basically, this is what one of my favourite films is based on, and because the Provence has become so important, like me and my family, and such like a comfort place. And when I'm here, and when it is miserable and cold and raining, I miss it. And now I'm too dark again. God's sake. So yeah, big fan in that sense. It's also kind of funny because A Good Year is directed by Ridley Scott, and he actually lives very close to where we do, which is kind of mad. And I swear down, I once saw him at a fucking farmer's market. I swear down, and like, I was like, ain't no fucking way. I just didn't say anything, but like now as an adult, I'm like, I fucking swear down it was him. And I've never forgiven myself for not just being like, Hi, he was wearing a Cannes, Festival de Cannes hat. I thought you could buy those hats anywhere. Then I went to Cannes, no you fucking couldn't, so I swear it was fucking him. Anyway, there is something like enchanting about it. It is also the upper middle class fantasy. There's just something. It's warm and it's sunny and it sounds nice and the food is good. And yeah, it's nice. Okay, last book, because I really have to go or I'm gonna get in trouble. I bought Kafka's For Trial. I think it's because I just bought Redeemed and I felt like I needed to balance everything out. So I bought Kafka's For Trial. Also because I just watched a Gilmore Girls episode in which they talk about this, or rather one of Rory's teachers at Yale, professors, talks about this. So I was like, I don't own that. I've never read any Kafka. Let's read that. Am I gonna like this? I don't know if I'm gonna like this or not. I don't know, it's short, so. Joseph K., an ordinary bank clerk, is accused of a crime he did not commit, whose nature is never revealed to him. As he tries to defend his innocence amid a labyrinthian world of anonymous bureaucrats, stifling courtrooms and casual brutality, he becomes increasingly uncertain of his fate and spirals towards destruction. Kafka's gripping, unnerving parable about the nature of terror and of the futility of human life is at once nightmarish and chillingly real. I also bought this just as I finished Crime and Punishment. You could definitely read those two together. From what I understand of this, it's giving me similar vibes to Crime and Punishment for entirely different reasons, but still giving that same sort of dark, you know. But obviously there's a big central distinction between both books, which I shall not reveal unless you have read the latter. Again, it's this thing of filling a hole in my bookcase because I feel like I should have read it, or I know that it's influential and I don't know what it's about, or just it feels like one of those things that I should have read or that I should know, or the kind of thing where someone's like, you haven't read The Trial? Not that that should ever be a reason for you to buy a book because someone's like, oh my god, because you could probably name 100 books they haven't read. If you name 100 books, I don't think I've ever read 100 books. Actually, no, that's not true. I think I have read 100 books. You can follow me on Goodreads. If you didn't already know that you could do that, you can stay up to date with what I'm reading, because I'm going to be reading Name of the Rose for a long time now. I'm on like, what, page 60 of 500 and something? So I've been reading that for a while. I think I did also buy Nadja and I bought Kafka because they're not very long. So when you're out there reading 500-page books when you're so dyslexic, you do need a few shorter ones to like try and make your Goodreads challenge. Okay, that's that. I also have another half of this pile, so there's another book haul coming. Stay tuned, kiddos. Stay tuned. I'll try and feed you all. Let me know what you have bought recently. Let me know if you have read any of these, like them or whatever. What are your takes? What are your thoughts? You guys always have such great insights, and I do feel very lucky that I have you guys. So yeah, that is this. Thank you very, very much for watching. Like, subscribe, and all the jazz, and I will see you guys hopefully very soon. Bye bye. Whew. La la la. Do you like my dress? Going to the opera. Do you like my dress? Do, 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 do.